Sorry for the delay, but listen. Hey, all right, I'm ready to go. All right, and I want to try to get through all the problems today. There's some a little bit harder than others. There's some little cool little tricks that I want to show you that come up continuously on all standardized tests. So please listen carefully here. Some of them are kind of easy. Some of them are a little bit harder. All right, but I want to get through as much as I possibly can. So we left off yesterday. Let's just go ahead and take a look at it. We left off yesterday at here we go. A lot to do. A lot to do. I said try to get to around 35. All right, we did 26 together, right? All right. Now, let's just go ahead and talk about 27. Here we go. Listen, I don't think I should have to do this problem. Please, I don't want any distractions because the test is tomorrow. All right, I'm not really reviewing. These are the questions, types of questions you're going to see on the test tomorrow. All right. So, the answer to number 27 we have is what? Go ahead. E. E. Is everybody happy with E? If you're not happy with E, it's okay. All right, that's about as easy factoring problems we can get. All right, any questions? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at 28. Now, 28 is a really nice problem. And a lot of people forgot to distribute a negative. But the correct answer is?
C.
I got a C so far.
B.
I got a B. Somebody else with a C.
B.
B. Somebody else. All right, now please look at this real carefully. This right here you need to highlight. Most people miss that. All right, most people miss that. All right. Now, some of you came in this morning. I really appreciate you guys coming in. All right, because I think that'll pay off tomorrow. All right, I would like everybody to be able to multiply that in their head. All right, so you should be able to look at that and just say that's what? X squared plus 8x plus 15. Now here's the problem. It's minus that whole thing multiplied together. When you multiply that whole thing together, you get what? X squared minus 6x plus 8. Everybody see that? Now, most of the time on the standardized test, they throw in lots of negatives because they know that's where you can make a mistake. All right, so I have to do what to this negative? Distribute it. If you don't distribute it, you'll make a mistake. So this now becomes x squared plus 8x plus 15 minus x squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. So what happens to the x squareds? They cancel. 8x and 6x is 14x plus 7 equals 0. So x is equal to negative 1/2. All right, take a good look at that, guys. That's a very good math problem. All right, very good. Very good. If you got it right, feel good. All right, because the negative, like I said, most people forget to distribute the negative. All right, now this one is something that you just have to be careful with. All right, it is something that, let's say, is traditionally a little bit harder. And the reason why I say that is because there's a variable here also. This k is a problem for most. But we know it's set equal to 0 and it's quadratic, correct? Now, what if I said it was just x minus 6 squared equals 0? The square makes it what? How many solutions? 2. However, this is called a what type of solution? It's a double root. All right, so there's really only what? There's really only one solution. All right, there's really only one solution. All right, now mathematically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to set the factor equal to 0. So you would write kx minus 6 equals 0, kx equals 6, so x is equal to just what? 6, whatever k is. Doesn't matter what k is. All right, is everybody okay with this information? Very good problem. Please try to listen, try to stay focused in, because again, These are all kind of SAT type questions, thinking questions. All right, I'm trying to see whether or not you understand what we've been doing. All right. Number 30. Now again, this was a fantastic problem, and like I said, most people cannot do this. All right. So does everybody agree they are equal to each other, right? This is equal to this, right? Now, does everybody see the 15x squared? Right? So if they're equal, that means the square terms are equal. Does everybody agree with that? So what is the square term on the left? What is the square term on the left? Not A times B. Thank you. See if you understood what he said. Please listen. If I want to know what the x squared term is, x times x is what? X squared. So we don't know what these numbers are here and here. Does everybody agree? So that would be what? A times B must equal what? 15. A times B must equal 15. Now make yourself a note there, and if you don't know why A times B has to equal 15, now's the time to let me know. Now it also says what's true here. A plus B equals 8. Now everybody should be able to look at that and say, well, obviously then what?
5 and 3.
A and B are 5 and 3. Could you say 3 and 5?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and let A equal 3 and B equal 5. But we could have said A equals 5 and B equals 3. That's why they're coming up with two different possibilities. All right, so now look. If I let A equal 5, it's 5x plus 2. And if I let B equal 3, that will be 3x plus 7 equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14. Now, I've been trying to tell you this a lot. We're trying to find the what? We're trying to find the middle term. So, the middle term, how much is that? 6. How much is that? Which makes what? 41. So C could be 41, agreed? So that means the only possible answer is what? D. Now, how did they get 31 probably? If they switch the 3 and the 5, just to make sure you understand me. 3x plus 2, 5x plus 7. For those of you guys who wrote it like that. How much is this? How much is that? 10 and 21 make? Come on now. I'm trying to make sure that it makes better sense now, what you're doing. All right? Does anybody have any issues with that? That's a very, very good problem. Very good. Very hard. Very difficult. Not really, now that you see it, hopefully. All right? The hard part was how do I figure out what AB is? All right? Be careful, please. All right, we're on a pretty good pace here. All right. Somebody tell me what 31 is. Tell me.
C.
C.
Oh, I put A.
A, good. C.
C.
A.
A.
Good. A. Girls, come on. C and A. C. Good. All right, now look here, please. Doesn't it say those are equal?
Yes.
Come on now. If they're equal, everybody in here can do the math on that. There's no reason. All right, no reason. I don't want you guessing. I want you to do the math. That'll lead you to the answer. So what do I mean by that? 7x plus x squared equals what? 7x. Come on, guys. What happens to the 7x's? They cancel. So what number squared is 0?
0.
So x has to be what? 0. So now what's true? The columns are what?
Equal.
The columns are equal. All right, the columns are equal. Now, again, at any point in here, please, if you're going, man, I'm not 100% sure, you got to let me know because there's going to be random questions like this on the test tomorrow. I'm asking you to think a little bit, and if it's not clear now, it's not going to be clear tomorrow. Anybody have any issues on that? All right, here we go. This one was really hard. Who got this one? Tell me.
C.
C. C. Good. Looks like C is my answer. What did you get?
C.
C?
C.
C? D. Good. I like that.
C.
C? Good. E. I like that.
D.
D. This is really hard. B. All right. So again, like I said, I'm not sure how you even do this problem. All right. Just kind of thinking about what's going on here. All right. Now, the first thing I would want you to do was to say, is this a quadratic? Yes, second power, right? So this whole time we always do what with quadratics? Set it equal to 0, right? So that's the first thing I'd want you to kind of think of. We've been working on factoring. We've been working on quadratics. So we should try to set it equal to 0. If I have no idea what to do, I'm trying to set it equal to 0. All right. So if I set it equal to 0, I'm going to get x squared minus 2xy plus y squared equals 0. Now, why did I write it like that? Because generally that's how the quadratic is written. Does everybody see that? Now, after a quadratic, what do we usually do?
Factor.
We usually factor. Thank you. Right, I'm expecting you to kind of go, wow, I'm not throwing something at you real hard. I'm just showing you different ways of doing the problems. All right, so now what? When we factor that, 2 sets of parentheses, this shouldn't take us long to factor that. What do I have?
X.
An x and
Y.
they're both
Negative.
beautiful. Right? Come on now. Think it through. Now, what do we do once we factor?
Set it equal to 0.
Set them equal to 0. So now we say x minus y equals 0. So this would be considered a what?
Double root.
Double root. So x always equals what?
Y.
X always equals y. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to show you something. All right. I'm going to try to show you. The first thing that came to my mind here is that x could be 0 and y could be 0. Now I'm just trying to show you how you would do this. If you didn't understand what I was writing over here, here is what I'm trying to show you. Bless you. So if I let x equal 0, then y has to equal what? Now how do I know that? Because it's just 0 plus y squared equals 0. So y would have to be what? Is everybody with me now? Come on. So right now I'm saying if x is 0, then y is 0. So x must equal, does it have to equal 1? Come on now. Now I'm trying to show you how to think it through. Does x have to equal 1? Yes or no? No, because we just said it could equal what? 0. So if I cross out 1 and I cross out negative 1, do you agree with that? Now I'm going to see if I can change a number. So I'm going to say, well, let's see if x is 1, what happens? If x is 1, I have 1 plus y squared equals what?
2x.
Well, x is what, though?
1.
1. So it'd be 2 times 1 times y, which is 2y. Do you agree with that? And now look. Y squared minus 2y plus 1 equals 0. Y minus 1, y minus 1. So y has to equal what? 1. So when x is 1, y is what? 1. Does everybody see that now? Come on, stop daydreaming. Does everybody see that? So x could be 0 or 1. Do you agree? So now, what does it look like is true? If x is, and what's true about the x and y?
They're equal.
They're equal. That's why it's E. Now, if you think about it, if you plug in any two numbers, as long as they're equal, it's going to be true. Let's see if that makes sense. Let's let x be 3. If I let x be 3, 9 plus, if x is 3, then what? Y is 3. 3 squared is what? 9. Does that equal 2 times 3 times 3? Is that true? Yeah. So as long as you let x and y be equal, then that's a true statement. Well, remember, a double root just means that the factors are the same. Right? Okay, let's move on. That was pretty good, unless we have a question. Yes, sir.
I don't get how you could come seeing it.
Well, because didn't we just show if x is 0, then y is what? So if x could be 0, then it doesn't have to equal negative 1 or 1. Do you agree?
Yeah.
It can be 0.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, that's very important. All right. Now over here, if x and y are positive and x, what does that say right here? X.
X does not equal y.
So it should work as long as you put in positive numbers. Right? So give me a positive number for x, please. 3. What's a positive number for y?
7.
All right, 1. All right, we could have chosen 7, but I like to make the numbers what? Small. All right, so here we go. What's 3 minus 1?
2.
What's 2 squared? 4. What is this going to be over here? Negative what? Negative 6. Thank you. So now somebody tell me, now I can see what they're telling me. What is the column A? Column A is always going to be what? Positive. Thank you, whoever said that. And column B is always going to be what? So what has to be true? A is always greater. A is always greater. Please look up now and make sure you hear me on that. All right? Please make sure. I'm listening.
What'd you get before?
I just did 3 minus 1. What's 3 minus 1? Squared.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Good for you. Come on.
Where did you get the 3 and the 1 from?
I just made it up. Right? Because listen to me. It says here, there are no stipulations. It's just that, come on now, this is really important for you to do good on this. It just says that x and y are what? Positives. Does everybody hear me? So I can just put in any positive numbers for x and y. But as soon as I did that, I finally realized, look, what's true about this? This has to be what? You agree with me? And as long as x and y are positive, positive times a negative is always a negative. So a positive is always greater than a negative, right? Yes.
So what does the little symbol mean? That's x
Cannot equal y.
Okay.
That's what that means. Cannot equal y. Do you hear me? Easy. All right. Continue on. Good job, guys. Now look, this one, that's just so simple. Come on, guys. The answer had to be what here? A, right? Because, again, please watch, just to make sure. What does k squared equal here? Thank you. K squared equals 17. Does everybody agree? I don't have to solve it for anything else, because here, what is k squared minus 5? 12. Now look, I'm trying to tell you guys, if you're not thinking about that, we're in a little bit of trouble. All right? Does everybody agree with me on that? Very simple problem. Very simple. Anybody have any questions? I know some of you wanted to solve for k. Is it necessary to solve for k? No, because we can solve for k squared. All right, here we go. This one's a really, really cool problem. I want everybody to start by this one. Very, very, very important problem. It's on most standardized tests. All right. Listen to me now, please, carefully. X squared minus y squared. The first thing that should come to your mind is we factored that a bunch. So somebody tell me what x squared minus y squared factors to. X plus y and x minus y. And that equals 10. Now, generally, the reason why kids would never think to do this is because we always set the quadratic equal to what? Equal to 0. But in this case, they're using that against you. Does everybody hear me? What now is the significance of x plus y equals 5? Why is that important? What am I going to do?
You're gonna have to times by 2.
Exactly. Because I understand what you're saying. Look right here, guys. Please watch what he's trying to tell you. X plus y is what? 5. So I'm replacing that x plus y with what? 5. Look how cool that problem is. So what does x minus y have to equal? Does everybody see that? Come on now. That's a very sneaky question. Does everybody see that? Right? X minus y has to equal 2. Because 5 times what is 10? 2. Therefore, this quantity right here has to be what?
2.
Has to be 2. That's a very good question. Please look that over and make sure your brain sees what I'm trying to tell you now. Very, very difficult problem. Very difficult. Not really, but if you don't see it, it's very difficult. Okay. Now, again, this is just a matter of going through those and telling me which ones are. Now, I want the middle term to be what? Positive, right? So I can eliminate what right off the bat? I can eliminate C and D. Whoever said that, thank you. Now, I'm telling you, some of you guys need to be with me on trying to show you how to do better on standardized tests. Sometimes it's easier to just go through and cross out. Now, what's 3 squared? 9, but I want it to be a 4. So it has to be what? It has to be minus 5. That was B. Now remember, what I'm trying to convince some of you guys now is when you see something a little bit different, don't give up on it. I'm trying to show you process of elimination. I didn't have to multiply all those things out. All right, does anybody have any questions on that? Gavin, you all right?
I have no idea what you just did.
Do you understand what I'm saying about the middle term is 6x?
Yeah.
So if I want the middle term to be 6x, it can't be minus 3.
Yes. Okay.
And I want the constant to be a what? 4. So if I do 3 squared, that's 9. So if I need it to be a 4, I would have to do what? Subtract 5, not add 5. All right. Anybody else? All right, 37. Man, that should be just the easiest problem. What's the correct answer? Tell me. A, of course, right? It's already factored for us. All we have to do is set the factors equal to 0. Negative 2 is considered a what? Double root. All right, but notice there is no, negative 2 is not written twice. Is everybody okay with that? That was very easy. All right, everybody should just get that one easily. That's why I'm saying when you take a test, don't just assume just because you're struggling with 7, you're going to miss everything else. Sometimes you're not going to see something, so you got to skip it and come back. What are you talking about? Set the factors equal to 0. 2x minus 1 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. What are you talking about? Because remember, that just means it occurs twice. X plus 2. Come on, x plus 2. Mr. 100 on all the tests. Come on, you know that, right? Come on. X plus 2 squared just means x plus 2 times x plus 2. But instead of writing x plus 2 times x plus 2, it's a shortcut. We just write it as x plus 2 squared. All right, here we go. 38. Now again, this is just good math right here. All right. Squaring x minus 1. So again, x minus 1. Let's do our pattern. X minus 1 squared. X squared. Negative 1 x times 2 negative 2x plus 1 equals 3x minus 5. Everybody good with that? Everybody good? setting it equal to 0. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. I think we've already had that problem on this worksheet. What does that factor to, guys? Come on. Yep. So the answer is either what? 3 or 2.
Yeah, I had a problem with one since I thought it was going to be like an extraneous solution because it said one possible solution.
Well, that means you have to, on a test, you'd have to bubble in either what? 3 or 2. That's a good thought, though. You hear what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes on a multiple choice test, you have to bubble in the answer. And they're telling you there are 2 possibilities. All right, well, they're not telling you there are 2 possibilities, but they only want you to bubble in what? One of the answers. So whichever one you bubble in, you'd be correct.
I'm a little confused how you got negative 2x.
Come on now, we're going to talk about this one more time. Anytime you square a binomial, the middle term is always, come on, this times 2. Right? The middle term always appears twice. Now, if you don't like that, you just write x minus 1 times x minus 1 and do the smiley faces. All right, good job, guys. Come on, let's keep going now. The system of equations above is graphed. At which of the following points do the graphs of the equations intersect? Now, if you want to, you can just do what? Plug them in. Right? But we don't need to do that. All right? Does everybody agree this is simply a substitution problem? Does everybody agree they're both equal to y, right? Come on now. So we have x minus 3 times x plus 2 equals 2x plus 4. Is everybody happy with that? Yeah, and some of you guys, next week, I'm going to show you how to use your calculator to do that one. All right, so here we go. Multiplying that out. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 2x plus 4. Is everybody seeing that? Now we have a quadratic, so your quadratic has to be set equal to 0. So we have x squared minus 3x. Is that minus 10?
Yes.
Now I need to do what to that? Factor, right? So x minus 5, x plus 2. So x is either 5 or negative 2. So right off the bat, I can eliminate what? A and B, right? Now, if x is 5, let's figure out what the y would be. If x is 5, what's the y? Help me, guys. Come on. That's just mental math. Put up 14. Does everybody understand what I'm saying, right? We're just replacing x with 5. 2 times 5 plus 4. Come on now. You got to stay with me now. Almost done. So correct answer has to be what? D. Good. D. All right, let's talk about 40. That's pretty straightforward. Does everybody agree with that? All right, so let's factor that. How does that factor somebody who did it?
2x.
2x and what?
2x and
2x. Go ahead.
and then negative positive 3
Yep.
and negative 4.
6 minus 2 is 4. I think he's correct. Is that good? So now you should be able to tell me x is equal to what?
Negative 3 over 2.
Or x equals 1/2. So correct answer is, guys, correct answer is A, right? Anybody have any issues with that?
Wait,
What?
so it says negative 1/2. That's correct. That was going to be positive 1/2.
The answer is positive 1/2 or negative 3/2. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So which one of those is the answer? A, B, C?
A, because that's negative 3/2.
Yes. Come on, be careful. Don't do all the work and circle the wrong answer. Good for you. What?
Wait, what did you do to get negative 3 over 2?
Two.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Yep. Thank you for that. All right, 41. Looks tricky. What's the answer?
D.
Somebody said D. D. Right, it's just following directions, right? If the triangle 5, right? Come on. That just means to plug 5 in, right? If I plug 5 in, what do I get?
30.
30. Thank you. 30 minus, if I plug 4 in, what do I get? 12. Come on, that's a really good problem. All right? That's just thinking outside the box a little bit. So if you got D on that, I'm pretty happy with you. Everybody good? Come on. I ask a question.
How do you get 30 minus 12?
Look, you see what's tricky about this right here? Is this triangle 5, right? I have no idea what that means. So I look, it tells me the triangle means the number squared plus 5.
So
5,
10 plus
5 squared plus 5, right? And then the rectangle is defined by the number squared minus itself. You get me now, right?
Yeah.
Double check the math on that, make sure you're good. All right, here we go, guys. Couple more. Yeah, I really like 42 because that's a long where you had to multiply it out. All right. Now, do I really have to multiply the whole thing out? Now, look, I'm trying to teach you something, so look up. So I can show you. I don't feel like multiplying it all out. I'm trying to figure out what the x value is, correct? Does everybody agree? I'm trying to find c, which is the x, correct? So do I care anything about the 3x squared? No, because no matter what I multiply, it'll be more than what? The x. Now, if I do 4x times 3x, that's going to create a what? 12x. So do I care about that one? Nope. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 4x times 6. Do I care about that? Yeah, because that's going to be what? That's going to be 24x. And then 5 times 3x. Do I care about that? Do I care about 5 times 3x?
Yes.
Yeah, because that will give me what? 15x. Everybody agreeing with that? Is there any other way I can get an x? I don't think so. So if I add those together, I get what? 39x. So what is C? C is 39. Everybody okay with that? That's a good way to do that. All right, if you understand, you're just looking for the x's, so I don't care about anything else. Anybody have a question on that? Yes.
Why did you add number 115?
Because I want the total number of x's. Isn't that what C is asking? You hear me? All right, last one, I believe, right? All right, that's perfect timing. All right, here we go. Vanessa built a rectangular pen for her dogs. She used an outside wall of the garage for one of the sides of the pen. She had to buy 20 meters of fencing in order to build the other side of the pen. Find the dimensions of the pen if the area is 48 meters squared. All right, so up here I'm just going to put a Y. So what would be the area of that?
X times y equals 48.
Exactly. X times Y equals 48. Now, what would be the perimeter?
X plus y.
No, x squared plus y squared.
No.
I mean, 2x plus 2.
Say it. No.
2x plus y?
Say it. What is the perimeter again? Exactly, 2x plus y. Now look, it's okay to say 2y, but this, do we need to put a fence here?
No.
No. So this is x here. Is everybody with me on that? All right, now how much fence do we have? 20 meters of fence. So we would say 2x plus y equals what? 20. So what does y equal? 20 minus 2x. Beautiful. Now what do I do with that 20 minus 2x? Plug it in. So we'd have x times 20 minus 2x equals 48. Distributing 20x minus 2x squared equals 48. Now, does everybody remember you want the x squared term to be positive, right? So I got to move it over to the right. So I have 2x squared and then what? Minus 20x plus 48.
Equals 0.
Now, most people are going to make a mistake here unless you do what? Divide by 2. So when you divide by 2, I get what?
X squared minus 10x.
Beautiful. So now when I factor this, what do I get? Minus 6, minus 4. Thank you very much. So x could be what?
6
Or x could be 4. Now it says, find the dimensions. So if I let x be 6, y could be what?
8.
And if I let x be 4, then y could be what? So you have two choices there, actually. You could make x 6 and y 8, or you could make y 12 and x 4.
How'd you go from x equals 6 to y equals 8?
Because I looked up here. Come on. That's the secret right there. You with me on that, right? You always have the other variable solved for the other variable. And just plug in. All right, listen. We still have like 9 minutes now. All right. I just feel as if here's what's going to happen. All of these word problems, you know what I mean? They're like the ones we did earlier, right? I'm probably going to have 5 of those, and I'm probably going to say you can do 4 out of 5. All right? So if you don't know one, it's not a big deal. All right, then what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put maybe like 8 or 10 questions, SAT, ACT type questions that you just have to think about. All right? And I also am going to put a couple of those, which column is greater, because those are now on the ERBs, and ERBs are coming up pretty quick. All right, and I want you guys to do fantastic. So that's called a quantitative comparison section. So you got to practice that. All right, I promise you, if you go through these problems right here, you don't have to know all of them, because I know some of them, they're a little tricky. All right, but just practice them. All right, practice them. All right, the idea is that you understand now how to factor, set the factors equal to 0, and how to solve a quadratic. That's the whole point. All right? Good job. So you got 7 minutes, study. All right, if you're trying to go over a problem, let me put this up on YouTube. And then if you have a couple questions, you want to come to my desk and you want me to rework a problem, I don't mind doing that. All right, but listen, we're not on YouTube. We're not playing games on none of that. Practicing. All right, that's what you're doing. If you're so good that you think you can do something else, I don't care. But you're not on YouTube and you're not on playing games. All right, simple as that.